Today, I really wanted to join in the capacity of a mom as a fellow parent. And I do understand that we're all facing a lot of similar issues. I see where your question's coming from, that there is burnout with the multiple roles that we're having to fill, the multiple shoes that we're having to fill at the moment. Although on a lighter note, I mean, when were we not caretakers and managers and housekeepers and all of the rest?
So I think one of the pieces that also is come, with this burnout piece is you're doing work at home, you're trying to manage the house, the child, job, whatever, coming back home, you have to parent, and then you have to continue and be a spouse, right?
Yeah.
So this might be a fairly large piece, but do you have any thoughts or suggestions as to how do you transition these roles, right? As a person, is there a way to balance it all out, especially
Um,
now?
there are a couple of things that I can share with you that I practice for myself and I also recommend in therapy. I'm very clear about differentiating between who I am and what my roles are. Okay, and I do
Okay.
not evaluate myself on my roles and responsibilities because they're not completely in my hand. The consequences and results, what I get back, is not in my hands. What I mean by that is that, Franzina, most often our burnout, our exhaustion, our fatigue, our anxiety, it comes from a need for perfection, a need for overperformance, a need or maybe unforgiving expectations of ourselves. And that leads to a very big disconnect from who we truly are and respecting ourselves. And I feel that if we can get over that, a lot of the exhaustion and the fatigue, which comes with role shifting and different responsibilities, goes away, because where I'm centered and I'm functioning as an authentic person, being myself, knowing what I can do and what I can't. I'm not here to please anyone. I'm not here to control, any kind of consequences. And I know I'm doing the best that I can in this given moment. So that's
Right.
about, addressing the exhaustion. But I think your question's so valid that at the end of the day, when we've done these 30 things, and then when we come home, when we shift from one room to the other, then we have another one, which is, to be the spouse. And one of the things that really helps me is to constantly pay attention to the present, my body, mind, and soul. So if I am with my spouse, whether it is 10 minutes, whether it's 15 minutes or 1 hour, that 1 hour is spent, very mindfully and very consciously with my spouse. When I'm with my children, whether it's a 5-minute break they have between school, or if I'm spending an hour doing art and craft with them, I'm truly genuinely there, making all the mistakes that I'm okay with making, but it makes a very big difference to be in the moment. So I'd highly recommend, again, maybe this is not a practical, miraculous, wand that you can swish and change things around. This is more about a process. This is more about your perceptions and your journey as a parent. It's very important to be connected with yourself, be authentic, know what you can do, not chase perfection because that means nothing, not chase control because that will cause sickness, whether in you or your child or your relationship, and sticking to the present. And that really helps me. I'm not saying I got this right. I make mistakes as well, but it really does help me shift slightly more seamlessly between roles.
I mean, I love what you just said, and I feel like this is something that takes practice, right? It's not magic. You have to do it every day until it becomes a part of what you do. It's like eating junk food, I guess, right? Just yeah.
I like your example.
But yeah. So I hear what you're saying, and I feel like being mindful is. I mean, it's hard. I'm just thinking about myself, but like you said, like keep that in mind and try going through those pieces. So I've been reading, and there is this term called languishing, right? That's
Yeah.
out there. It's about the sense of doom, and people just feeling like it's the apocalypse and the end of the world, and feeling like there's nothing that's going to come out of this. Do you have any words to help prop us up? Like, I know that this is a big ask, but I feel like there's very little good news out there because COVID has affected all of us directly, indirectly. Do you have, anything to help us deal with this sense of doom in the next couple of minutes? Like, is
Yeah,
there something that you might suggest we do,
I'm going to,
or?
I'm going to attempt this one, Franzina, because I think that not just me, I think if I had to ask you this question, I know you'd be able to give me something because there are so many and those many unique experiences and unique ways of fighting back, right? So as far as the news is concerned, I really keep reiterating to people that treat news as news and
Right.
do not consume it and certainly don't get consumed by it. If it is something that's disturbing you to the point of dysfunctionality, it's all right to temporarily, completely avoid it. Because I have had patients who had panic attacks or who feel anxious the minute they hear, that drum roll of, that particular news channel. And it's
Right.
very important for us to recognize right now certain triggers that we're not doing well with. And please, for the moment, definitely avoid it. In the long term, I think one of the therapies that I've come up with and have been practicing now, and have been really promoting, because I personally use it as well, is the REX 3. It basically
Okay.
stands for RE into 3. And those 3 REs are response, resilience, and recovery. I think
Okay.
if we could learn to or choose how we want to respond to information, how we want to respond to triggers. Stress, crisis, difficulty, bad news, etc., is a part of our life. It will be, and guess what? It always was.
Right.
What really is important for us to remember is that we've done this. Maybe we're just not being able to depart from the negative at the moment. We're getting consumed by it. So it's important for us to choose how we want to respond to stress because stress is here to stay. Maybe not in the form of COVID-19, maybe not in the form of online education if we make different choices next year, but in some other form. And how we respond to it, I mean, you'd probably be aware of the entire neurobiology behind it. I won't go into it, but at least we can control the impact of cortisol in our system if we mindfully choose our responses to what is going on. Hello?
Yep. I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
super. So the second point, the second RE that I was talking about is resilience. Resilience isn't very easily understood, and not just by everyone else, but even it took me time and, like you said, practice as well. Sometimes we feel that avoiding problems and always being able to fight with problems very well and coming out, winner and victorious, etc., unharmed, untouched, not having cried, not having bawled our eyes out is resilience. And it's not any of that. Resilience is only understanding what's going on around you and accepting it. The ability to accept what's happening and still keep our chin up, and be able to bounce forward. When people talk about bounce back, I always tell them, I said, why don't you say bounce forward?
Right.
Sometimes you feel you're just dragging your feet with what's going on, but it's important for us to persist and develop an appetite, to be able to practice resilience. And the last one, which I think is personally most important, the last RE is recovery. Very often we forget to make ourselves recover from what we just experienced. And that's very important. Once we have experienced a stress or a fight or a conflict, an argument, that you have tachycardia, your heart is palpitating, you have short breath, you're kind of sweating behind your temples, your sweaty
Right.
palms, and you've just said something terrible to your child or your spouse or a loved one. And even though the moment is over, you go about doing something else, you haven't really recovered from that stress. And that's very important for us to be able to persist and be able to handle the sense of doom that's going on around us. We have to persist in and consciously remind ourselves that have I recovered from that last a crisis that I just experienced, last argument, and how am I going to recover from it? Again, body, mind, soul. How do I calm my body down? Am I using breathing right? Am I meditating? Am I doing yoga? Am I doing any kind of exercise? Am I eating well, sleeping well? So that's the whole body, then mind, being mindful, sticking to the present, avoiding cognitive errors, staying rational, not trying to change and control others, focusing inwards. So that's about mind. And, I don't really like to discuss soul too much because it's not palatable for everyone. But I genuinely practice, for me, soul practice on a daily basis is a gratitude practice. And that just restores my energy with so much that's going on. And, as a mental health professional, even that we are exposed to a lot of difficult news on a daily basis. COVID has been going on for a year and a half. You and I have seen and heard difficult situations with little ones, especially, which is so heartbreaking for so many years. And it's tough. How do you keep going? So recovery is very important. So here's my, a bit for you when it comes to how do we deal with this sense of doom. We have to learn to depart from the negative. We have to learn to respond to stress differently. We have to practice resilience and learn to diligently recover from the stress that we have just experienced and bounce forward.
Those are some amazing tips. Thank you so much. I have a couple of add-on questions. You actually mentioned gratitude practice, right? So is that something specific? Like you list 5 things down that you're thankful for, or is there some kind of protocol to it? I'm very intrigued by it. So I would like to practice it myself.
So Franzina, I have devised, like I would make a painting of my own. I have a little artwork in my head of my own about gratitude. And I think that, like I said, this is something that can be defined in millions of ways, as many people as there are, because we have so many different ways of perceiving this, right? For me, gratitude or my soul tonic is to say thank you and acknowledge what everyone else has and not me. And now I don't know if you resonate with this. I do not talk about something in my gratitude practice, which is a daily morning practice. I do not talk about anything that I have, that I own, that is mine. I say gratitude for, from nature to the sun. Sometimes I say gratitude from animals to the trees. Sometimes I say gratitude from all human beings to nature. And it really is such a rejuvenating and restorative practice, because when we say thank you for something that we have, believe me, there will be a following anxious feeling, mild anxiety even. What if I don't have it tomorrow? So, and that's a possibility, right? I mean, why are people feeling so anxious right now? Because there's this constant worry about losing. So my gratitude practice does not talk about what I have. I focus on saying grace for other living elements on the earth.
I love it. Yeah, that isn't what I thought it would be, but it sounds like something I want to start. So thank you for sharing that piece with us.
Thank you.
We have a couple of specific questions. I won't take up too much more of your time.
Sure.
But while we're dealing with kids, right? It's very easy to snap and start nagging because we want them to do something, right? The transition between, like you said, be flexible, fight the fights that are required, you have to do math homework, it has to be done, this is your time, blah, blah, blah. But it becomes a pattern, right? And I guess that's part of the problem. Is there some way for us to rein that in and transition well from one thing to the other when we're dealing with our kids on an everyday basis? Where some things have to be done and some things not, but I don't know. Is there like a practice to it? Is there something that you would recommend we do to not lose it with them?
I absolutely have recommendations to work with children. Children love multi-sensory input. Very often we parents pick and choose just one that is convenient for us, which is our voice. You have to do this, then you have to do that, and you have to do that. So the first thing I recommend is that why don't we use different kinds of stimuli, to set up reminders for them. It can be a little note that can be written and stuck, you know, every morning. If you have to repeat, please brush your teeth, maybe there can just be a post-it stuck on the mirror that, your teeth need cleaning. Eat your greens. It can go in some other form. There can be little love notes. This is something I used to recommend when children did go to school and carry tiffin boxes, but well, right now, they're all at home. So I feel that visuals really work with children. Of course, there's auditory, but it doesn't only have to be our voice. These days, children are on their gadgets. There can be reminders in different funny songs or different funny alarms that can come up, that can show up. So I just feel, a little bit of effort, little bit of creativity in connecting with children does help getting things done. And I did speak about it earlier, that instead of focusing on schedule and that you have to do this, it's very important for us to help them commit to something and show them the value in it. So what do you think is going to come out of you doing math homework? Ask them these questions. Why do you think you need to go to school? Why do you think mom needs to go to work? When they have these emotional outbursts, when they need you, just when you need to take a call. So it's very important for us to have these discussions, shift the whole narrative from, do this, do that, do this, do that, to what is, how will you be able to contribute and add value if you were to learn this? What is this giving you? Food, for example, I know that children respond so well if you were to tell them on in their plate that this is carbohydrates, this is protein, this is vitamins. How about you make a good mix, healthy mix, pick how much of whatever you want to eat from this, but have a little bit of everything, as opposed to you have to eat your spinach and you have to eat your chicken or whatever. So I feel that let's stop underestimating our children. A lot of children respond very, very well with kinesthetic, reminders, visual reminders, auditory reminders, anything but a mom screaming and yelling at them. So that is one of my practical advice. But at the same time, I feel that, it is important for us to be able to, the basics, just empathize with what's going on in their lives. Number two, am I being stubborn-headed about getting this thing done now? Whether you like it or not, in the situation, you're the adult. And can you find a better way, a less corrosive way of getting it done? I understand that it needs to get done, but can we find another way of getting it done? And honestly speaking, as a mom, I'm sharing this as a mom. If your child doesn't want to finish their homework and you're getting it done under supervision, your kid is learning nothing. For me, the value of your child taking responsibility and finishing their own homework, taking that time to understand the value in it, is far more important than actually getting that homework done. So maybe some of the moms won't agree with me and I have something to learn from you, but I feel that we've got to be adults. We have to keep our eyes on the ball and really focus on what is it that we want ultimately from our children.
Thank you so much. So I guess, in a nutshell, if you had to give us 5 pieces of, nuggets of advice, what would they be?
5, huh? Okay.
5. If you have 10, I'm good with that. I'm just asking for the top 5 if you have a list. So
I think the first one for me is please take care of yourself. As a parent, as a human being. If we want to be effective, we want to get anywhere, we want to be healthy, we want to be alive, we need to take care of ourselves. Of course, our emotions depend on it. To take care of ourselves quickly, I've spoken about it earlier. You have 3 drawers to fill every day. Not just your body, not just your mind, but also your soul. So body, mind, soul, on a daily basis, I make sure I put one something in each little compartment. So take care of yourself. That's very, very important. Number 2, I think that it's important for us to start making conscious cognitive choices. And this is something that helps me, be effective professionally as well, because this is something I'm really, really tight about with the people I work with. What do I mean by conscious cognitive practices? We do not have to float like paper boats wherever the water takes us. We do have a sense of control in the form of what we are talking to ourselves. We can make choices in what we want to think. We have choices in what meaning we want to add to, our child being treated in a certain way, and then having a certain emotion and then acting on it. So um, it's hard to pack so many therapy sessions in little nuggets, but I guess what I'm trying to say is
Right.
that be conscious about
Conscious.
the way you're choosing to think about things that are happening around you. Number three would be learn to quickly drop your past. I think a lot of us spend too much time ruminating, feeling bad, feeling guilty, feeling regret, and this is particularly for parents for what has not been done. I promise you, whatever was not done will also add to the unique journey of your child and you. There will be some strength that will come out of it. I have lived it, I have experienced it. There are some things that I have missed as a mom, and today I look back and I feel it was good I did do that. So it's important for us to be able to drop the past. Nugget number four, I think, right?
Yes.
Um, let's not try and mold our children like Play-Doh. You know
Right.
why? Because you can't. We cannot ensure anything about their future. So this may come as a rude shock to you, but we can guide, we can mentor, we can encourage, we can walk with them, we can support, we can always be those pillars and anchors that they would want to hopefully fall back on. But if you're thinking you're going to be able to carve out this beautiful, planned future for your child, best of luck to you, because it may happen, and I seriously do hope and pray that it does. But when it doesn't, it can cause so much disappointment to you and to the child, who will start to believe that I am good only if I give my mom and dad that perfect picture they have painted
Absolutely.
of me. So it's very,
Right.
very important that we stop trying to control so much about our children. And the last one, I think, which is more topical, I guess, is that it is a very, very tough time for the entire family. I mean, it's tough for mothers, it's tough for fathers, it's tough for children, it's tough for grandparents. So it is a moment um, to actually connect over an emotion that the entire world is feeling. And if you were to just look at it and come down to your family, everybody is feeling the same thing. So please use this time to connect with each other, to empower each other, instead of blaming, instead of wanting more, instead of, expecting more and more from yourself. So I think this is a very, very significant time for ourselves and even for our children. I think they're going to remember this time in their childhood for the rest of their lives in a very significant way. Now, how that's going to be, we can define that. So, I just spoke off my head. I hope this is useful for you.
I mean, it's useful to me, and I'm hoping the people listening out there have taken away as much as I have. Thank you so much, Dr. Shwetambara, for all your time today and the wonderful discussion we've had, because I really feel I've learned so much. And yes, so I look forward to interacting with you in the future on some other topics, possibly. Thank you
Me
so, so
too.
much.
Thank you for having me, Franzina. I've always
It was a
appreciated your work.
pleasure.
Keep doing what you do. You're so, so good at it. And thank you for
Thank
having me
you.
and giving me an opportunity to answer these questions. There is someone who's asking one last question. If you want to take it. Um,
We have a minute, so if
yeah,
there
yeah,
is
yeah, that's what I thought.
something,
Um, but, is there something that you would like to share? In your experience, you've been working with children with special abilities, and
I
that's very
have,
difficult
and
as well for parents.
it it is, and I think the highlight for me this year has been the way parents have connected with their children through this year, and the positives that parents have come up with
Hmm.
regarding how they've been able to, they probably underestimated them before and aren't doing that anymore because of the lockdown,
Wow.
and that's something they would have never thought of before. So it's been
Yeah,
a learning for me as well, I think, this
that's
particular
amazing.
piece. So yeah.
That's
I'm
amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely think it's going to be an
Yeah,
interesting couple of years for kids around the globe.
yeah, that was
Thank you
very
so
useful,
much.
I think. Thank you too.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a good evening,
You
everyone.
too.
Bye.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.